Today I'm going to do a video based on the comment that I received after the bug squashing method for the two-handed backhand. Someone told them you should never turn your feet or point your toes sideways. And I want to kind of elaborate on that. The most important thing is it's not great to go all the way sideways or all the way open. Now I'm going to explain why. What he said first. So he was asking me, do not put your foot pointing sideways because you can't rotate and you can't get the full power. Yes, that's actually very true. So I actually do not want my players to point their toes sideways when they're hitting the ball. Now, what I tell them, the easier method, make sure your foot is pointing at the contact point to get the maximum power so you're not too closed or you're not too open. Now, what does that mean? I've had players on the two-handed backhand who did too closed of a stance and too open of a stance. First time ever when someone actually came to take a lesson, this guy was actually opening his foot too early because he knew from before, like somebody said, don't close. So he was opening his foot. Now, open meaning it's like pointing forward. It wasn't like open like this. So it was just pointing forward. I was trying to figure out the movements and I couldn't see what was going on because I felt like he was fast. He was setting up okay. He was just lacking a lot of power and he couldn't get the contact right, like the spacing right either. Later on, I figured out when he was actually trying to take the last step for the ball, he was opening his foot like this. What that did was that kept the body open, so he wasn't able to use any of the rotational power at all, versus when he is here, and as he's hitting the ball, he could rotate his hip and then hit the ball. Basically, too closed, okay, and too open is both not ideal. So I came up with an explanation to my players when they have that, certain kind of problem with a contact point or with their feet. I tell them your feet should be pointing where your contact point is. Now, if you're hitting it late, you don't want to go like that. That's kind of ridiculous, right? Taking that away, when most players, junior players, even some recreational players who actually were hitting the ball nice and out in front, but they're stepping here like that. So I was trying to get them to have it more 45-degree angle towards the net and the feet is pointing to the contact point. That way you're not too open, you're not too closed, and you're able to use your hips and the core to be able to drive the racket forward and drive the ball. Now, most people know why closing the feet is bad, because you can't actually swing. It limits your swing. But opening the foot also has consequences too. What I realized was the guy was pretty fast, so he didn't have trouble setting up for the ball. But the thing is, as the pace got faster, he had trouble setting up because he was putting brakes on too early, meaning like he was trying to set up and open his foot to be able to be in that perfect position. But once you start moving really fast, that didn't work. And as his level was getting up higher, which he was like a 4-5, almost a 5-0, and he was having trouble getting to the backhand side. He was lacking power and he was a little late, but I was kind of puzzled of why he was late, because he was actually a fast person. So you don't want to go here and then hit the ball. It's actually really hard to do. I don't know how people do it, but yeah, so you don't want to open up the feet too early. You want to have it closed and contact the ball where the foot is pointing. Okay? Again. Okay? Again. All right, so you get the idea. To summarize everything, you don't want to be staying too close or too open with the foot, because your core can't be used here or here either. So you want to be in somewhere in the middle. Even if you do close it, you have to use all of your rotational power to be able to hit out in front and rotate that body around to be able to hit the ball big and actually get it to their backhand or neutralize that shot. And that also has to do with that bug squash thing. You do need to squash it really hard to be able to take it cross court or neutralize that shot. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. If you could leave the comments on what type of questions you have, I might be able to do an answer video. So if you could write in the comments, and if you have some questions for me, I'll try to get through them and I'll try to do a video for you guys. Thanks.